Sometimes you think you've really got to go away to exotic places to enjoy a holiday, to enjoy nature, to get out and see things. But I have to tell you, this beautiful wildflower meadow that I'm walking around at the moment is actually just 5 minutes from my house, and it is stunning. I do like going to other parts of the world and seeing all sorts of glorious things, but you know, every day at this time of year, while the blossoms are out, I can enjoy it. A couple of minutes ago I just saw a deer leaping through the fields, and it's a glorious place to be. One of the things that actually astonishes me here is that, you know, it's a great place to walk, it's a great place to exercise the dogs or go with the children. But actually, when I come here, I hardly ever see any people. Maybe one or two, and they're usually dog walkers. But, you know, there's a population around here of about 100,000 people, and if I've seen two people in a beautiful location like this, and it's beautiful any time of year, not just now when the grass is looking so long and beautiful, but and the flowers are out, the butterflies are out, but even come here in the winter, it's still really nice. Of course, it is nice sometimes just to be somewhere where there's a bit of peace and quiet, even if you can hear the busy roads in the distance or the aircraft overhead. But you know, the Bible in essence began in a garden in Eden. Even when it comes to the Exodus and the building of a tabernacle, you see references to flowers and plants in there and the actual construction. The same when it comes to the temple. Of course, in the book of Psalms and Isaiah, you find references to, you know, the grass of the field. Come here in a few weeks' time, this grass will be very brown. The flowers will fade. But come to Matthew chapter 6 and you find that passage there where it talks about the lilies of the field. They don't have to worry about how they're clothed. And I think there's some things in Matthew chapter 6 that are actually beneficial just for us to think about. It talks about fasting, for instance, that you shouldn't do it, you know, to make an impression. Do it secretly, do it in private. What's the big issue? And it also talks, when you look in the Bible, about riches. What are you going to do with them? You may be the richest person on earth, but when you die, what happens to it? Store up your treasures in heaven. And in that context, that's the context where Jesus says, don't worry. You can't add to your stature by worrying. You can't, in fact, it doesn't achieve very much at all. And that's where the lily comes in as an example. And it's where Jesus says, remember, your heavenly Father knows that you need food and clothes. So make God's kingdom and His righteousness the very first thing in your life, and all the other things will be given to you as you need them. And when I come out here, you know, I see this beauty around me, and I think about what I have to be thankful for. And yes, there are things we struggle about. So I've had some tears over the last few days with some bad news among friends, among family members. And yet, there's also so much to thank God for. And even in those tears, these people have a sure knowledge, a sure future, a sure hope, because there's another garden, a garden city that's promised in the book of Revelation, where, again, we can come to one side in the midst of where there's been difficulty and tribulation and tears and death are no more, and it's a wonderful place. And so Jesus says in Matthew 6, and here's the thought I want to leave you with, Matthew 6 verse 34, don't take on troubles ahead of time, because tomorrow will have its own problems. Just do faithfully what you should be doing today, and live one day at a time.